So current topics. First of all, a couple weeks ago, Noria released that Red Bull sponsored video of her spending 5 days in a remote gorge in India last year. In which it kind of did make it to the edit, but well, I guess it was in the edit, but it wasn't really fully explained. She went through a siphon while tethered to her boat, unclipped, swam really far, had to hike back to recover her dry bag with all of her stuff in it, and was generally just like as exposed as possible on some really unscoutable, gnarly stuff. I remember a while ago when Patrick Hamblin, I think he said he was going to solo the Stikine, and then at the last minute decided not to. And there was a lot of controversy and, patting him on the back for not feeling pressure and backing out and all that jazz. I take a lot of heat up here for paddling alone when I do. But I always stick to rivers I'm 100% comfortable on, at levels I'm 100% comfortable on, and I have a call in and a call out setup with a tight time window. So if something does go wrong, there's a yellow flag for 30 minutes to be on the lookout, and then a distinct, if I'm not off by now, something has gone wrong. The Ottawa seems like one of the most friendly places to solo boat. You've been around forever. What are your thoughts?
I'd always discourage paddling alone. Can I say I've never done it? No. I've paddled lots alone. When you're training, I started training for slalom and then moved into training for freestyle. There's lots of times when you have your time window to go out and paddle and train that other people aren't able to join you. And I've paddled that way solo countless times, especially training slalom. I'd be the only one out at the gates and paddled that way lots. I've ran the Ottawa a few times solo in recent years, but not that often. Have I gone out and surfed solo at a surf spot? Absolutely. But
absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it's silly the number of people that refuse to go and surf a completely safe play spot solo. Like that just takes it way too far.
Well, there's always the inherent risks, and you need to calculate those risks. What's your level of paddling, fitness, all of those things, comfort level. And you need to reduce those risks as best you can with, in this day and age, communication devices, somebody knowing where you are and when you should be back so that you have a check-in time. And, I try and find somebody to paddle with every time I go out, but it doesn't always work that way. And on the Ottawa in the summer, a lot of times, at 6 o'clock at night, that there's going to be the after dinner crowd there, and there's always going to be people at the wave, whatever wave happens to be in. So, I may head out solo, but there's always somebody there to paddle with, which is pretty cool in the Ottawa. It used to be more like that in the late 90s, early 2000s, or you pretty much guarantee there was a crowd there in any daylight hours from 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning till 9 or 10 at night. There was always somebody at whatever waves we're in, but that population seems to have died down. I bought myself a DeLorme device, and it seems to travel with me on most paddling trips because cell service isn't always the greatest on the Ottawa. Have a life-proof case on my phone. So that I can take my phone with me as a communication device. I wouldn't say I'm an advocate of paddling alone because I'm also a social person and enjoy having people to paddle with. But sometimes I need to get out, and sometimes there isn't somebody there to paddle with me. And, I'll calculate those risks of what I'm doing and, where I'm paddling and at what levels. And, there's always a chance you're going to get in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, my entrance to paddling was, initially I took classes and when I was 12, 13, and then put paddling on the back burner for other things, and then came back to it right when spud boats became a thing. Again, the Jackson early Bussy videos really inspired me to get back in. Um, and I paddled for, I don't know, 8 months exclusively alone because I didn't know anybody. And cell phone, literally call my mom. Hey, I'm gonna be on for this amount of time. If you don't hear from me for, whatever, there's a problem. Um, and then paddled with people for all the way up until a couple years ago, when we had this total drop off on the Moose. Before I started becoming a community organizer and doing all of these ridiculous things. And it was basically just a necessity. It was like, paddle alone or don't paddle. It was really at the tipping point of like me quitting or not. And I started having to do it creeking alone. Again, on a river I'd run a million times, know very well. And I'm not sure if it's because I started paddling alone, but I've found that for me it's very spiritual, totally zen, and it's actually where I do my best work. And that's why, like today, when you paddle with me, very often it's like, okay, cool, I see the rapid coming, and I always book out in front, right? And I'm always just disappearing into the distance because that's where I do my best work when no one's watching me. And I think it's just some sort of holdover.
Well, I think we need to find you some more friends to paddle with.
I am blessed now with the amount of organizing I do to have an abundance of friends, and the community on the Moose is just family, and it's open. So we have people coming from as far as DC on regular basis to paddle with a group of people who are always have an open door policy. And I take a lot of pride in that, and I love it. I just absolutely love it.